And good evening to you all. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am Nick Zentner. I teach geology at Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Washington. I'm looking at the little hole over there. That's where the camera is. Okay, I'm talking to myself. Once we get the iPads working and we know that we are functional, then we will proceed. Candy, hello. I knew it would be a moment of time before I start seeing people, so now we've got all sorts of live chats scrolling by. Beautiful. This is not only a test of something that I thought of this morning over breakfast, but also I have a special guest with me, Skye Cooley from Montana. And Skye, in a few moments, is going to join me here, as long as we're 5 by 5, and we're going to make this happen. So it's not like I have to say the program's going to start in 10 minutes. This is the program, baby. This is the program. So keep it moving. Hey, what? Somebody's hello from Moses Lake, or Moses Cooley. Exploring Eastern Washington. Hi, Nick from Moses Cooley. Well, that's cool. Wonderful. Thank you. Let me set the stage for you, describe a little bit of the technology, explain why this is a bit of a breakthrough, I must say, and getting me thinking about some new ideas about how to broadcast live from out here in the field, and then we'll bring in our special guest. Okay, so let me try to pivot you first of all. I'm using my old phone, the old phone that I used, oh boy. The old phone that I used all through the pandemic. Okay, what the hell, man? Oh, we got a car coming. Murphy's Law. We're on a very remote gravel road. Hopefully this farmer's not going to give us the business for being out here. Oh, God. Well, I might as well give you a shot of it. So we are just a few miles from Ritzville, Washington. And Ritzville, Washington is right along the freeway, Interstate 90. And we're on some unnamed gravel road. And Skye and I have been out here all afternoon filming in 100-degree heat. So we just checked into a hotel in Ritzville. We had a nice Mexican meal. And thought it would cool down a little bit. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's still got to be 95 degrees out here. But hey, Elsie, it's 4 in the morning there in the UK. Wonderful. So I'll keep spinning you around. Looks like there's a conversation now with the farmer. Hopefully we're okay. And I wanted to do this in the shade of Whitey and the hatchback, which is open, because it was so hot out here this afternoon that the phone kept crashing on me. The phone kept quitting because it was overheated. And so I'm still in the sun right now, but there's enough of a cool breeze that hopefully we'll be okay. I don't really want to huddle underneath the hatchback again, just because I like the lighting right here. So we have maybe another half an hour of daylight, I don't know, something like that. And we'll see if this farmer wants to talk. Thank you. So, whatever you said to him worked. Thank you, Skye. Was he nice? Okay, good. So yes, this is Starlink. So there's no obstructions out here. And my moment of kind of epiphany this morning, which maybe is obvious to some of you technology people, is I don't really need, every time I try to be out here in the field, I don't really need to have my laptop and wireless mic and all this stuff on the ice chest inside. If you've been watching some of these programs, why couldn't I just be just like the old days? I don't have Larry the Ladder with me, but I've got a tripod. Why can't it be just like I was doing in the backyard? Why can't I live stream just using the wireless network that is generated by the Starlink dish? So I packed Starlink. We weren't using it this afternoon. Skye and I were filming a new video with the gizmo. But otherwise, It's like, okay, I guess this is going to kind of work. And it sounds great, says Neglected Chef, which is a pleasant surprise as well. Again, there's no lapel mic, there's nothing, baby. It's just this. I kind of like this lighting right here, personally. So, can I introduce you to Skye Cooley? And if you're a regular viewer of the programs, you know Skye. We've done a number of videos over the last couple of summers. And he's like, what am I supposed to do? What do you want me to say? I'm like, well, I'm just going to, if I can get your live chat going, we're going to have some live question and answer with Skye. But here's a primer. Montana native says, Starlink means freedom, Nick. Thank you. I agree with that. Yes, this is the golden hour of lighting. Oh, I don't know. Let's just do a couple hellos quick. No, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some topics that you might be asking Skye about. And then I'll be saying some highs to some folks. Then I'll see if I can find you on the live chat, and then we'll bring it over to Skye. He only had one beer. I had a strawberry margarita. Do you think anything less of me? The waitress suggested it. Hello, who's in Christchurch? I'll just say hi to some, okay, what did I say? So here are the topics for your live Q&A with Skye Cooley. I think we've done 4 videos to this point. Let me remind you of the topics that we've done with Skye, and he knows a lot of stuff. The first one was the Clastic Dikes video from at least 2 years ago. You might have some questions about clastic dikes. We're not in an outcrop, we're just out here in the middle of some fields. We did what else did we do? We did a calcrete video. And we did another calcrete video on top of Saddle Mountains in the smoke, probably last September. And so the topic today, Skye has been helping me in this extreme heat to think about pre-Wisconsin ice age flooding and how there might be some details in the Loess Hills themselves that is a more subtle way to get at some of these older flood episodes that Brett's was talking about and others have been talking about as well. So those are your topics. Even though this is going to scroll fast now, where are you viewing from? Can I say hi to a few of you and then we'll bring in Skye. Hello, Kathy from Brisbane, Australia. Have a good one. There's Rachel Forney, former student who might be still down in Flagstaff, New Mexico. Flagstaff, Arizona, excuse me. Oh man, too much. Indianapolis, Indiana. Southern Oregon, Denver, Colorado. It's truly flying by. Hello from India. Hello, Pendleton, Oregon. Seattle, Washington. Heard of it. Devon, UK. Chico, California. And so on. Thank you. Okay. If I can find the live chat on one of these iPads, we'll bring in Skye. Otherwise, we'll give you a chance to collect yourselves. We have almost 500 watching. Okay. So why couldn't this work? Why couldn't I just see you live here on this iPad using this Etch-a-Sketch? I think I do, but I thought I was. Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Got it. Okay, I've got you here scrolling on the iPad. Please come in. Please come in. Please come in. Oh, we got to get this down here for you. Skye Cooley, can you please describe your job? Where are you living and working these days, young man?
Still live in the Mission Valley, Montana, just south of Polson. No change there. I work for the Flathead Irrigation Project, Flathead Indian Irrigation Project. I'm the hydrologist for the project. So big canal network, kind of a mini-me of the Columbia Basin project.
And thank you. And as a teaser for our video that will be coming out, I don't know, sometime in the next few days, what kind of sites did we see today? What were we trying to pontificate upon?
We were looking at old Loess, we were looking at old flood gravels, and a little bit of calcrete in there too.
Yeah, and more tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Yeah. What might we see tomorrow morning? Will we see more loess?
More of the same.
Good. I got some loess questions. It was too freaking hot. I just didn't want to keep standing out there, and the phone kept dying. But I mean, there's some basic. We can go there too, viewers. There's some basic loess questions. Why is there so much loess here and not everywhere? Do you really need an ice sheet right next door to generate all this loess? I don't know. You feel like doing something like that right now?
Yeah, I'm game.
What's your answer to those two questions from me, and then we'll go to the viewers?
You don't need an ice sheet next door to create loess. We have big loess fields around the world, and most of them are near mountain ranges. So you just need an effective erosional agent. And we don't have big mountains around here, but we have a lot of sediment that was liberated by ice sheets. And so through flooding and some other processes, we've accumulated deep loess here in the Palouse.
Thank you. Okay, uppercase for you guys. That's enough of me. Let's get you in. I'm going to bring the tripod even closer to you, man. I know you're a little bit shy, but come on, we got to do this.
Just a little short. That's all.
No, this is perfect. We need this. Like, what else do we have? What do we like?
Perfect
the lighting?
would be 6'1".
Oh, this is good right here. Skye, are calcrete deposits interglacial? Asks Papagino.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea, is that so interglacial periods correspond with soil growth. So stability between glacial periods. There's an argument made by Alan Busaka that on the Palouse, our cycles are soil and sedimentation cycles, so high sedimentation rate, low soil development rate, high soil development rate, low sedimentation rate correspond. Busaka has made the argument, and I don't know if he still makes it, that our cycles are reversed and that we have a different pattern than the rest of the planet, but that's the idea. I don't know if we tie it well enough to specific glacial and interglacial cycles. Each calcrete layer is certainly not tied to a certain glacial cycle, but it's a great question. You're thinking on the right track. That's the right question to ask. We just need a better data set or some great graduate students or folks to pursue that question a little more directly. Good question.
Thank you. Let's keep it rolling. We can cut this anytime, by the way, you know?
Okay.
Like when you've had enough, you've had enough.
Okay, I've had enough.
I want to just keep going until that camera dies.
Okay, we'll cut it.
What are some examples of loess in other parts of the world? Do any places come to mind? Is like China?
Yeah, well, I mean, China's got huge loess fields. I don't know the total depth of their loess. You know, in the Palouse, we're kind of looking at 150 feet or maybe 170 feet at the very, very deepest. But that tapers off in all directions. And yeah, I mean, China has some sizable mountains around in the region, and it's got a huge land mass. And so you're creating a completely different climate. And you're in a different part of the planet for weather systems. And so I'm not up to speed with Chinese loess, but it is a major loess system on the planet, probably the major loess system. There's also places, let me just stop there.
Okay. Doing great. What's the difference between calcrete and caliche?
Nothing. Calcrete and caliche are the same thing, just sort of there's probably 4 or 5 terms that people would use either over time or depending on where you live. But caliche, that's a good solid U.S. Southwest word. And caliche and calcrete in our part of the planet are really understood best in the U.S. Southwest, desert Southwest. You can use either one. I like calcrete because it's kind of been formalized and I'm a dork, so.
Jeanette wonders, why is it so hard to say where loess came from? Is there chemical matches somewhere?
Well, I don't know. I mean, my understanding is that the loess in the Palouse has a couple different sources. One, the Ringgold Formation is a good source. That's a fine-grained lake bed system that developed in the Pasco Basin, covered hundreds of square miles, and provides, when that lake goes away, you've abandoned this enormous area of fine-grained beach. So this is a windy place, and it's been a windy place for a long time. So any dry, desiccated sediment is going to be picked up in the wind. And so that's definitely one source of the loess in this region. Another source is the flood deposits themselves. So Missoula flood deposits and earlier flood deposits, recycled northeastward by wind after deposition. So repeated flooding, repeated loess activation and recycling and redeposition. You've also got river bars along the Paleo Snake, Paleo Columbia system. That's a significant amount of liberated sediment or dry sediment that's basically unvegetated and able to be moved into the atmosphere and then redeposited on the landscape. So, you know, it's quartzo feldspathic stuff. So it's yeah, sorry. It's made of loess is kind of quartz grains, mostly, some feldspar grains, and then there's like some calcium carbonate chips in there too, and there may be some accessory things, but it's essentially quartz and feldspar. So it's, you know, you're not talking about basalt lithic fragments. You're just talking about grains of the most common minerals on the planet.
Love it. Could we define what the Palouse is, and can we define what Loess is?
Well, the Palouse gets drawn. You know, if you look for a map of the Palouse, that's a tall order, because the folks at WSU might draw a sort of a smaller box around the agricultural region that we kind of call the Palouse, and that would correspond to the thick loess. I used to work in the Okanagan region for the Colville for the Colville tribes and the Colville Reservation, and we had thick loess way up there, not as thick as down here, but several meters of loess. And our forests of northeastern Washington, the Okanagan Highlands, and then across into northern Idaho are thick ash cap soils. So they're loessal soils that are mostly post-glacial, and those are aspect controlled, and they're thick and productive soils. So if you take the trees off the landscape, the Palouse gets a lot bigger. If you kind of think about farming, maybe the Palouse is a little smaller. You've got, you know, a meter or two of loess in Natchez. Is that the Palouse? Well, I don't know. You got a lot of loess. You can go to Walla Walla. You got thick loess there, and we don't really think of the Walla Walla Valley as a loess region, but it's got very thick loess hills right there. You can go into eastern Oregon, and there's loess. So the Palouse has sort of think about the Palouse as sort of a big pile, and then that pile tapers in different directions, in all directions. And where you draw the boundary is kind of up to you. But the thick loess region is certainly sort of the typical, you know, Pullman, dusty. We're a little off the Palouse here at Ritzville. We're kind of on the feather edge of the Palouse, kind of as you get west of Ritzville. Is that good enough?
We'll do just a few more.
Okay.
You're doing great, man. I want to give these guys a view of the western horizon here before we lose the sun completely. Roy wonders, does deep loess become welded?
The loess itself is on its way to becoming some sort of rock, but it's definitely still sediment. And so the loess itself does not really have the ability to weld. When we talk about welded things, we're really talking about welded soils. And in this part of the region, it would be a calcrete or a caliche soil. And the idea of welding is simply if you develop a soil and then you strip the top layer off and then you develop a new soil into that old soil, then you've essentially superposed two different soils, one on top of each other. And we would call that a welded contact, a welded soil. And you may not be able to distinguish the different parts, but oftentimes you can. So welding would be more of a soil term rather than just a sediment term, and wouldn't really apply to the loess itself.
Elsie from England asks, so is that how loess is dated? The grains? Or how do you get any sort of ages out of these piles of loess?
Yeah, so different ways to date. Loess is dated in this part of the world by unconformities, mostly flood cut unconformities, and ash layers. And so, yes, you can date certain Loesses with things like optically stimulated luminescence, or OSL, which is measures the exposure that a grain has had at the surface before being buried. And so you can calculate an age from its exposure history. There are other methods to do that. But in this part of the world, we really hang our hat on two things, and that's ash beds, because there are several in the Palouse Loess, and they're reliable, and they're understood, they're well recognized, famous. And then flood cut unconformities. Unconformities are a big deal around here because they are distinctive. You can go put your thumb on them, and they provide a good framework. So those two things, unconformities and then some fossils. There's definitely sparse fossils and some paleomag and some other things that kind of supplement that. But the framework is really based on ash and cross-cutting relationships.
How about one more? Both Jim and Franco asked the same question. Is there any Loess north of the border, or how far north does the Loess go? All the way up to Canada?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would guess that southern BC has some Loess in its timbered areas, and it would look more like northern Idaho. But I don't think it's real thick. I think we kind of lose the plume at some point to the north. It seems like it should be there. I just don't know.
Huh. Like, I only associate Loess with the Columbia River basalt lavas. Like, I don't really think of Loess piling up, in northeastern Washington when you get out of the basalts, or over by you. Is there tons of Loess in northwestern Montana or the panhandle of Idaho?
Well, there's always, think about Loess as dust. So no, there's not thick Loess, and I think we tend to only call it Loess when it gets a certain thickness.
Oh.
There's always some component in the West
interesting.
of wind-blown dust in soil profiles.
Huh.
But once it gets a certain thickness, then it becomes real interesting when you put a name on it. But like I went to school for a while in Logan, Utah. And Logan, Utah is sort of north of Great Salt Lake. And so it receives a great deal of dust, and has in the past, as the lake level has fluctuated and exposing new sediment to being blown and recycled north. And so, the area around Logan, Utah has loessl soils, and they're very productive.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add to these guys?
No, this is great. Thanks for watching. Good questions.
All right.
Can I go over here now?
You can go anywhere you want.
All right.
That's essentially the end of the content for you all this evening, but I do want to try a couple technology tests now that this is actually working. One is just to test the audio, I think. First of all, let me spin you around. We've got maybe another 20 minutes of daylight before we lose the sun, but I want to give you a chance to get a sense of the scope of this place. And if I was really confident that this was going to work, I would have driven an extra 20 minutes. We would have been on the edge of one of these Loessl scarps where the scablands are down below, but that'll be for another day. Okay. I want to test the audio real quick because I have forgotten from the days of the pandemic about how the audio changes as I get farther and farther away. So I assume I'm the strongest. I'm going to keep my voice. This is nothing but techie stuff for the rest of the program, and we have 650 watching at the moment. So if most of you leave, I understand why. I'm going to keep the same volume of my voice, but I'm going to back away, and I'm just curious what that sounds like in replay more than anything else. So here goes. I'm talking in the same level. I'm not shouting. I'm just talking the same level, and I'm wondering if I'm talking right here with the same volume level, if that is still audible to you. And if I'm really bothered by the fact that I'm so far away, I assume I'm going to just try to talk to you like, hey, you're standing right there. It's like, get out of the road. There's a truck coming. Hey, hey, you guys, get out of the road. There's not. Okay? Wanted to try that. I guess I would be interested. Yeah, you lose my volume pretty quickly. Makes sense. Another question for you with technology, especially if you've watched a lot of these live streams. How's the quality? I mean, this is not Ethernet cable. This is a simple iPhone only using wireless coming from this Starlink dish. So I guess it'll be obvious to me once I watch the replay, but on your end, how's the video quality, how's the audio quality compared to other programs that you've seen? Comparing it to the last couple of years worth of stuff, whether it's from a classroom or whether it's from my backyard or whether it's, all these different things I've been trying. It sounds like most of you are very pleased with the quality, and I'm ecstatic, to be honest. I'm going to do one more test, but I'm just going to say this before I forget. I was struggling how to use Starlink in the field because all I could think about was you being anchored on a tripod. Anchored on a tripod and Ethernet going into the laptop, and I would have to be anchored to the back of the car. Like, Skye doesn't want to be on camera again, but he's going to be anyway. So I thought I was going to have to be, I bought a jump starter, by the way, you guys that helped me, so I'm not worried about being stranded out here. But I was in part kind of hung up on the fact that how am I going to show any outcrops or do anything fun in the field if I have to be standing here huddled under the tailback because I don't want the camera to overheat, and I can't show you rock outcrops unless I have 2 cameras and 2 tripods and I have OBS and everything else. Well, hell, man, if this is strong, getting excited now, if this is strong, video and audio, and if I can flip you around, I just flipped you around. This is the back of the camera that I used to use in the pandemic to show you like close-ups of rocks. What kind of delay do we have here? Ten by 10. Get a hold of yourself now. Come on. I don't mean literally, but. So I can do all my old tricks from the backyard during the pandemic, which means the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to put you in Gizmo. I'm going to try to walk around with you and see how far away I can get from the dish and still have signal, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, so I'll flip you around again to look at that's called a sunset. The sunset, and then I'm going to get Gizmo and see if there's any juice and see if I can walk with you before we say goodbye.
This one goes to 11.
Okay, I only have this. Oh shit. I only have this. No, this is not. Okay, so I have fancy new gizmo that I've only used with my new iPhone, which I could not get into landscape. I think that's fixable. But my point is it's going to be extra shaky. So Dale, I hope Dale's still with us, by the way, but others who are motion sick, it's going to be extra shaky because I have to take the case off of this phone. I have to get this thing clamped onto the back. That's going to allow me to get into Gizmo and then get you rolling, okay? So if you have motion sickness, good night, or just close your eyes until I say cochise or something. Okay, you're coming out of the cradle that Skye figured out how to mount on the tripod. I am now peeling off a case. Don't really have nimble hands for that. It never really had game, by the way. I couldn't really. not my expertise. Hey-oh. Don't drop it, says Jeff. Too late. You missed it before the live stream started. The thing face planted in the gravel. Okay, now we're still going. Not Cochise yet, no. Now I'm clamping the clamp on the back. I told you it was going to be shaky. And now it's really going to be shaky because I'm turning gizmo on. And you're going to look at heaven for a second. Fucker. Okay. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. I just did. Oh, I'm upside down. Oh, the camera's in backwards. Hang on. Is it? Oh, we got a problem. I put the clamp on. Oh no. Daddy didn't follow instructions. I'm going to be very impressed with you if you're still with us. This is clown show extreme. Okay, we're still here. Cochise. Cochise. I have no doubt that we're breaking up right now, but I'm just going to I'm going to hold real steady. You tell me when it's 5 by 5 right now. Is it 5 by 5 now? I'm not going to do a thing until I see 5 by 5. Pretty significant delay, but I think we're good now. Good. Okay, so here's old Whitey, which got us here. And okay, what am I going to do? This is the last thing I'm doing. So okay, I'm not even sure. Is the wireless coming out of that thing? Or is the wireless coming out of this thing? I guess it's coming this thing, you think, Skye. So this is the thing that I'm wondering before I say goodnight. I'm going to count paces, I guess, just out of curiosity. How many paces can I go away from this Wi-Fi control unit? Thank you for your help. And how far away can I drift? And I guess I'm going to be hyper about it, so I'm going to keep you, whatever, just start. 1, 2, 3. You tell me when you're going to start pixelate, okay? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give me the number that we start to lose our strength, our visual connection and audio connection. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm at 20. Are we still strong? 20? Yes? 20? No? Put Wi-Fi on top of the car. Higher up the better. Well, that's an interesting thought. I'll try that some other time. Okay, you guys, I'm still going. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I'm 30 paces away. Are we still good? It's still good, baby. Okay, I'm excited. And I can probably go farther, but I don't think, if I pull up to an outcrop, God damn, if I pull out to an outcrop, I can do all sorts of stuff myself or with a guest. Do one last thing and then say goodnight. Wow. Oh, why not? 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I'm 50 paces away. I'm going to stand still We're good at 50, really? 667 watching. God dang. This brings up a whole new idea. Whole new set of ideas. Ritzville's just on the horizon, by the way. But I promise we're not using anybody's Wi-Fi out here. Whew. Okay, everybody. Thank you for being here for this test. This is potentially a major moment. And I guess it's a moment because I can have you out here live with me, not every time, but on occasion. And we can do some interesting geology like I do when I do a hiking video or something. Like, you know, I'm not going to hike with this thing, I don't think. But again, I'm just thinking about road outcrops and being within 50 paces of the car. And the Wi-Fi, it doesn't have to be the car. Hell, I can set this, oh, that's another thought. All I have, I promise I'm going to quit. Yeah, you're right. Somebody just said, remember, everything's portable. You're right. This is the whole... This is it. It's those three guys. It's the Starlink dish. It's the Vivor power supply, which has... How many? We've been going 37 minutes and I still have 84% battery on this thing. And according to a couple of you, this is the Wi-Fi box or something like that. So suddenly for me to live stream from the field using Starlink is down to these three guys. I think, unless I'm missing something. In a tripod if I want to, you know, stand and do the whole thing. But even this, I could screw this thing in. I can even screw Gizmo. The end of Gizmo has a screw hole. And I can just put Gizmo up on top here. And I can rotate, I don't have to rotate the tripod. I can just rotate Gizmo. Wow. Okay, that's enough for tonight. This is officially a success. Can I say goodnight to just a few of you, and then we'll sign off. Yuki, thank you for joining us. Papagino, sorry Patrick, I'm sure I swore in there. Melanie, Catherine, scrolling way too fast to read now, but I sure do appreciate you being with me here. And Skye Cooley from near Ritzville in the Palouse Hills of Eastern Washington. Thank you, I love you, and goodbye from the Palouse Hills of Washington. End stream.